Hello, everyone. In Penguin 4, ever since we have a monthly evaluation right on Monday, so let's try to review the stuff from chapter 3 together, okay? So, in chapter 3, we use some verbs, change them to participles to transfer them to adjectives. Disappoint. Around say disappointing, disappointed. Frightening, frightened, right? Confusing, confused. Amazing, amazed. Embarrassing, embarrassed. And also, later in the conversation, we have boring, bored, interested, interesting, and excited, exciting. So, also for the article, we also have several other adjectives like I want to say realistic, awful, and weird. So in the dream, in the children's dream, the boy was wearing pajamas and he has no shoes. He had no shoes in his dream. So the dream was very I want to say embarrassing. Very good. So how about let's check out the hmm. So this is the script, right? So I had a very strange dream last night. It was frightening. I was very scared. A monster was chasing me and my friends. I ran really fast, but the monster was faster than me. Number two. I went to the market in my dream. I got everyone was laughing at me. I was wearing my pajamas. I didn't have any shoes. It was embarrassing. So I had a confusing dream. How confusing? I couldn't understand what was happening. All my teeth fell out. It was so realistic. It was so real that the girl had to look in the mirror to see if it was true when she got up, right? And the dream was awesome. In the dream, the boy could fly. He flew really high and he was amazed. The dream was amazing. But when he woke up, he wasn't so happy. Why? Because he realized that he couldn't fly. So it was a bit disappointing, right? Oh, that's my dog. I'm sorry. And the other boy, the boy was running in a dream to school. He looked at his watch. It was already 8:30, so it was awful, right? Because he was late in a dream. And in the other dream, the boy was falling through the sky. Okay, so he just kept on falling. He couldn't stop, just like Alice in Wonderland, right? And it was very weird. It was so strange, and it's a little bit embarrassing. Why? Uh, Sorry, that's for the other conversation, right? Great. So right on page 37, we just compare. We just compare. So when the book is better than the other book, than the movie, sorry. When the book is better than the movie, which means the movie isn't as good as the book, right? So we just change, so we can see, how about let's show all the answers, okay? Let's show all the answers. So, um, we just highlight the book and the book, right? And the movie. How about here? The movie. So the book is better than the movie, which means the movie is changed to isn't, right? Isn't what? As good as the book. Do we say as better as the book? No. As means the same. The same. This is why it's better than the movie, and we change it to the movie isn't as good as the book, right? So how about here? As usual, the book, the book, the book, and the book, right? So the book isn't as good as the movie. The book isn't as good as the movie. Movie, the movie, the movie, the movie, the movie, the movie, the movie, and the movie, right? So the book isn't as good as the movie, so which means the movie is better than the book, right? Okay. As you can see, we just uh, change it to the opposite position, and um, the book is better, which means the movie isn't as good as the book. So the book isn't as good as the book. Some people think the book isn't as good as the book. Isn't as good as the movie. I'm sorry. So which means the movie is better than the book, right? Sorry, I should use blue, right? Could be a bit confusing. Just try to be a bit more careful. So the book isn't as good as the movie. So the book isn't as good as the movie, which means the movie, sorry, the movie, the book isn't as frightening as the movie. So the movie is more frightening than the movie, right? Comparative. So the book was more exciting than the movie, which means the movie was not as exciting as the book. So the book is just as good as the movie, which means the movie is just as good as the book. Okay, could be a little bit confusing, but remember, er than, more than, and as, adjective as. Okay, as good as, better than, not as good as, right? So the movie is better, which means the book is not as good as the other thing, right? So try to compare, try to be more careful when you answer. So the movie isn't as good as the book, which means the book is what? Uh, I'll save this page for you first. So let's start S, right? Sorry, S. So let's check out the answers right here. The movie isn't as good as the book, which means the book is better than the movie. The movie, the book, the book, the movie, right? How about the book wasn't as scary as the movie, which means the movie was scarier than the book. Try to compare. Okay, we have more examples on the grammar booster. Don't worry about it. So Alice in Wonderland, we come back to the reader later. But remember, as we said, we use gerund. We use present participle, verb ing for adjective. We use ed. We use past participle for people's feeling. So last night, Yasmin dreamt about flying. So the dream was awesome. But why did she feel disappointed when she woke up? Why did she feel disappointed when she woke up? She was disappointed because she realized she couldn't fly, right? So which means the dream was disappointing, right? I should use a bigger one. So, but Angelo dreamed about the monster. Why did Yasmin say, "Oh, it's so boring"? Why did she say it's boring? Because she has heard the dream already, right? So, uh, but Scarlett was not bored. Scarlett was not bored. She was interested. Why did she think it's interesting? Why did she feel interested? Why? Because she wanted to know about Angelo's dream. She just asked, "Was were you frightened in the dream, Angelo?" Because Angelo mentioned about a monster, right? Were you frightened? Oh, yes, the monster was very scary. The monster was frightening, right? Oh, how interesting. But when Angelo woke up, he was so scared. She thought the monster was so frightening, so he was shouting, "Mommy, mommy, help!" Oh, and somebody heard him. Many people heard him. Yasmin heard him. So that's why I Angelo was very embarrassed, right? He felt embarrassed. The dream was embarrassing, from frightening to embarrassing. And Hamish thinks, "Oh God, how embarrassing you are," right? "Oh, you're sleeping with your mouth open. How embarrassing you are. How embarrassing it is," right? Okay, so um for people's feeling and adjectives, let's check out the answers, right? Yasmin was disappointed. She felt disappointed. uh, was Yasmin bored? She was bored because she has heard the dream before. And the monster was very frightening, right? And Angelo's dream was interesting to Scarlett. But Angelo was embarrassed when he woke up. He felt embarrassed, right? The book is boring. He was bored, and the boy was disappointed because he thinks the movie was disappointing. Remember, ing for adjective, for description, verb ed, uh, ed for people's feeling, how people feel. Right? Okay, so we're talking about the importance of sleep. Sleep is very important to people's health. Health. Okay, people's health. Sleeping is important for your health. We're talking about the importance of sleep right here. So, do you turn off the alarm clock when it goes off, or do you just wake up before the alarm clock goes off? It's a good question, right? Eh, let's check out Grammar Booster. So, the TV show, what? Uh, First of all, the monster is as scary as the dragon. That's the saying, right? About The painting is as pretty as the photo. They're the same. But if you say the TV show isn't as funny as the movie, which means the movie is funnier than the TV show, right? And the magazine isn't as exciting as the comic book, which means the comic book is more exciting than the magazine, right? So, can we change? Can we change the sentence? So, the movie isn't as funny as the book, so which means the book is funnier than the movie. Um, the TV show number three, the TV show isn't as bad as the movie, which means the movie is worse than the TV show, right? And the TV show isn't as realistic as the video game. So the video game is more realistic than the TV show, right? So funnier, worse, better, more realistic. Try to compare. And for the last part, before we move on to the reader and the activity book. So, the girl usually likes to read, but her new book is boring, right? How about the girl arrived late to school, so she felt very embarrassing or embarrassed. She felt okay about the feeling. The teacher said the sentence project was not something. It's a thing. It's a thing, not people's feeling. So it wasn't interesting. And she saved her money and she bought a new video game. But the video game doesn't work. So she felt very disappointed. Okay, so how about number five? She saw a movie with a big mean dragon. So scary. So the movie was frightening. The girl was frightened. Ooh, frightened. And the girl got lost on the way to the park or in the park. So she felt confused. The map was confusing, right? Okay. How about mm, so the server doesn't really work. Can we review about the reader story very quickly? The reader story. The reader. You see the reader? Hmm. Anyway. My website. Sorry, my web connection works, but the Story Central page doesn't work. Doesn't really work, but it's okay. About can we turn your book to the reader story? But let me just check if I have the reader. Okay. Now, do you see? Oh, okay. Mhm. Star Central 5, Star Central. Right. Finally, works. All right. So let's try to review the reader. Okay. So first of all, it was a sunny day, and Alice and her sister were reading right under a tree. Right. Suddenly, she saw a rabbit, a white rabbit, and she followed the rabbit and she fell into the rabbit hole, down, 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 down to the hole, right? So, she was sitting in the dark hallway. She saw a little door. She saw a beautiful garden right through the keyhole, right? And there's a key. Ooh, she wanted to go into the garden, but she was too big, right? So, um, suddenly she noticed a little bottle. It says "Drink me," and so at the beginning, why couldn't Alice go into the garden? Why? Why not? Alice couldn't go into the garden. Why? Because she was too big, right? And then suddenly she noticed a little bottle says drink me. So she drank it. So what a strange feeling. I think I'm getting smaller. Okay, so she was really small. Unfortunately, she was too small, right? The key was still on the table. She forgot to take the key with her. But God only knows what would happen if she was carrying the key and she got smoked and she might be killed by the key, right? So, she wasn't as tall as the table. So, which means the table was taller than Alice, right? She wasn't as tall as the table. The table was taller than she. She sat down, she cried. It was so disappointing, right? It was very disappointing. And then Alice saw a cake. Uh, and this is why, mm, sorry, before that. So, what happened when she drank the liquid in the bottle? What happened after she drank all the liquid in the bottle? She was getting smaller, right? She was getting smaller. So she saw a cake. It says, "Eat me." Well, I'm going to eat it. So she just ate a cake, right? And if I grow taller, I can reach the key. If I grow smaller, I can crawl under the door. So under the anyway, she wanted to get into the garden, right? And she ate a little bit of the cake. Nothing happened. That's why she just kept on eating and eating. She just ate the cake. She finished the whole cake. Stranger and stranger, cried Alice. Now I'm growing taller, unfortunately. Yes, sorry. Fortunately, she was really tall right now. But she picked up the key. She opened the door. Yes, she opened it. But this time, She was too big. She was too big. She couldn't even get through the door into the garden. Now, her head was even bigger than the door. She couldn't get into the garden. So, her head was bigger, which means uh, her head was bigger. So, the door wasn't as big as her head, right? So, um, how embarrassing! That's why she started to cry, right? So, what happened when she started to cry? What uh happened after she started to cry? She just started to cry, and there was a pool of tears. She was so big, and when she cried, one drop of tear was just like like a like a storm, right? Fortunately, she saw the rabbit. Finally, the white rabbit came back. So, what was the rabbit carrying in his hand? The rabbit was carrying gloves and a large fan, right? Please, sir, oh, please, can you please help me? So she tried to ask for help from the rabbit. But did the rabbit try to help her? Oh, Alice was so big, she was frightening to the rabbit. She wasn't frightened. She was embarrassed. She was scared. She was confused. She didn't know what to do. But the rabbit was frightened because Alice was so big that Alice was very frightening to the rabbit, right? So he dropped his fan, he shouted, ah, he ran away. So Alice was very hot. She has been crying. Oh, this is confusing. She was confused, right? Where am I? What am I supposed to do? She just started to use the fan. This is weird. How can I get into the garden? But the door was closed and the key was on the table again. No, I couldn't reach the key. So uh, she started to use the fan. And what happened? What happened when she started to use the fan? Um, she started to use the fan. She was getting what? Where was it? She was getting cooler. She was also getting smaller, right? And what happened when she became smaller again? She couldn't reach the key. She was too small and she fell into the water, right? She fell into the water. She was swimming in the water. This is ridiculous. This is insane, don't you think? Okay, so, oh, she was swimming in the pool of the tear. Wake up, Alice. Did you fall asleep? Oh, yes. Right. So, this is a very strange story. Of course, in the Alice in the Wonderland book, she also saw the Red Queen, the cars. She saw at least the two queen cards. It was a very fascinating story. If we have time, maybe we can try to introduce more about the story. So, on the weekend, please try to review the reader, the student book, activity book, uh, worksheet, vocabulary list. So, this is, I hope this video could help you a bit for reviewing, and I'll be seeing you right on Monday. Have a nice weekend then. Goodbye, everyone.